Hi everyone! So today we're going to be talking about the F.O.I.L method in algebra class for beginners. I say for beginners because I'm going to start off with a simple example and move my way up to a more complicated example. Now, I'm not going to use crazy terms. I'm not going to draw arrows all over my paper. I'm going to try to break it down to the most simplest way of explaining how to do these kinds of problems, because we've all been there. We've all not understood a math equation, so I'm going to start and I'm just going to use the most simplest terms that I can in order to explain thoroughly how to do these. So we're going to start with a 2x plus 1 and a 3x plus 2. So when you're going to use this method, when you have two binomials, and they're called binomials simply because they have two terms into one equation, which makes a binomial. There's trinomials, which would be three different terms all in one, but I'll make a new video on how to do that later on. So this is just the two multiplying two binomials together, and in that case we use FOIL. So FOIL stands for first, outer, inner, and last. First meaning the two first terms of the two parentheses. So the first step would be to multiply 2x and 3x. That will give us, so we'll do 2 times 3, which gives us 6, and x times x equals x squared. Now, if multiplying variables confuses you, I can make a separate video on how exactly to do that. Just let me know. So if you are understanding, then just continue to watch. So our first step was to multiply 2x and 3x. That makes 6x squared. Our second step is to multiply the two outer variables. Terms, which would be 2x and 2. So this was first, the 2x and 3x. The outer would be the two outer portions of the parentheses, 2x and 2, which would give us, so 2 times 2 is 4, positive 4, and then you have to add on that x. 2x times 2 is 4x. Inner stands for the two terms that are on the inside, which would be the 1 and the 3x, which gives us 3x, because 3x times 1 is itself 3x. And the last step is to multiply the two last terms of the parentheses, which is 1 and 2. So I'm going to multiply 1 and 2, which gives me positive 2. So that's our first step, is to use FOIL. But our second step is to add anything that we can add, and the only way we can do that is if it has the same variable on the end. So we'll keep the 6x squared. Sorry, my mom is very loud. 6x squared will just stay that way because there is no other term that has an x squared at the end, so we just keep 6x squared. 4x and 3x added together just makes a positive 7x. When you're adding, you just keep the variable the same. You just only add the numbers. So we got 6x squared plus 7x, and then we have that 2 on the end, which we can't do anything with that 2 because there's no other number here that doesn't have a variable at the end. And the only way we could do anything with that is if we did have another number, just a simple integer 7 or any number really that didn't have an x on the end, but we do not, so this is our answer. So that's our first example. Now I'm going to move on to an example that has more x's. So I'm going to do 2x squared plus 2x and 4x plus 5. Alright, so we're going to do the same steps. Our first step was to use FOIL, so we're going to multiply the two first terms in each parentheses. That's what F stands for, first. So we'll do 2x squared times 4x. 2 times 4 is 8. And x squared times x, we just add another x along to that x squared, which will make it x to the third. Our second step is to multiply the two outer terms, so that would be 2x squared and 5. So we'll do 2 times 5, which gives us positive 10. And we just keep that x squared. Third step is to multiply the two inner terms, which is 2x and 4x. 2 times 4 is 8, and x times x is x squared. And then lastly, we multiply the two last terms of the parentheses, so that would be 2x and 5. 2x and 5 is positive 10, and we keep the x. So that was our first step. We FOILed, we are almost there, but we still have one more step. And that is to add anything that we can add. And like I said before, you only can do that when it has the same ending on the end or the same variable. And what I mean by that is we couldn't add this 10x to these because it only has one x, and these have 2x squared, so we could do something with those. So what I'm saying is this 8x to the third power, we cannot do anything with it because there is no other number here or term here that has an x to the third. So the only way we could do something with that is if we did have another term that had that same ending, and we don't. So we keep it 8x to the third, but you see here we have two terms that have the same ending, which is x squared. So we can add them. Positive 10x plus 8x is positive 18x squared. We keep the same ending. And then we have a lonely 10x. There's no other number here that has that same ending, so we just write it and keep it the same. So unlike the last one, this one has a third step. And the reason why we have a third step is because we can see that all three of these numbers, first of all, are able to divide by the same number, which is 2, to get a full integer. So I can see here that I can divide by 2 for 8 and get 4. I can divide by 2 for 18 and get 9. And I can divide by 2 for 10 to get 5. So we're just going to do that. And how we write that is we put a 2 and then a parenthesis. So I'm dividing by 2 for each of these terms. So 8x to the third power divided by 2 is simply 4x to the third. 18x to the second power will give us, divided by 2, will give us positive 9x squared. Just keep the same ending for now. And then lastly, 10x divided by 2 is going to give us 5x. Positive 5x. So you see I kept the same variables. I didn't do anything with those yet. All I did was divide each of these numbers, 8, 18, and 10, by 2, and I put that answer here. So we're almost done. There's one more step, and that step is to get rid of any variables that we can. And what I mean by that is all three of these numbers have x's in them. Now you want to look at the lowest number, the one that has the least amount of x's. So we see here that this 5x only has one x. So we know we can at least take out one x from this equation. So I'm going to keep that 2 that we already divided by, and I'm going to add an x along there. So what that does is shows me that I'm going to take away one x from each of these terms, which will end up being 4x squared. So I took away one x, and then this would end up being 9x, took away one x, and then positive 5, I took away one x. I knew that I could do that because all three of these terms had one thing, one x, that we could take away to simplify it. So that's our answer right here. We got 2x parentheses 4x squared plus 9x plus 5, and that's our answer. So that is the FOIL method for beginners. I could add another example now, but I'm going to make a separate video for that because I think that these two examples gave a really good understanding of the whole thing. But I'm going to go more deeper into the FOIL method with new examples in a separate video. So if you have any comments or questions or anything really, just comment below, ask me. I can make a video every single day if people really are curious on how to do something. I love math. I am not perfect with math. Like I said, I'm going to explain things in a way that'll make people understand. I'm not going to confuse anybody with terms that they wouldn't be familiar with. So that's why I'm doing the best I can to use simple terms, go over everything more than just once to make people understand. So, and guys, don't get down on yourself if you can't get this right away. Just keep going over the examples, go over this example multiple times, and just do the exact same thing that I did. You do FOIL, you do first, outer, inner, last. First being these two terms, outer being this term, inner being this term and this term, and last being the two last terms. If you just keep going by the way that I did it, you will end up doing it yourself. It'll take practice, but you will get it. Don't get down on yourself. Alright, well, thank you for watching, and like I said, if you have any comments or questions or concerns, just comment below, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.